Good Friday morning, friends, and welcome to this week's episode of Finding God in the Dark. This week I'm going to ask you to be in prayer for our friend Evan Dodge. Evan's having a medical emergency, not personally, but in his family. So he was unable to meet this week and tape this week. So we will be talking about Schindler's List next week. This week, I want to talk about a film that I watched that Evan has not seen yet, and kind of give you my take on it. Now, if you'll recall, last week we talked about a film called The Secret of Kells, which was an animated film from an Irish animation studio. The film that I watched this week is called Song of the Sea. It is from the same animation studio, and it is directed by the same gentleman, Tom Moore. It is part 2 of his Celtic mythology series. I just want to, I make myself a few notes just so you understand where I'm coming from. It came out in 2014. It was nominated that year for Best Picture, did not win. Best Animated Picture, not Best Picture. The basic story is of a family, a father and 2 children, who live in a lighthouse on the coast of Ireland. And it revolves around how this family is dealing with the loss of the mother in the family, who basically, we get the impression from the beginning of the film, died in childbirth with the youngest child, who was the daughter. The older brother's name is Ben. The daughter's name is Saoirse. And part of this, this grief that is going on, the lighthouse keeper's mother comes and she convinces the father to let her take the children with her back to the city, that she can mind them and he can mind the lighthouse. But what we find is that Saoirse is not, she's not completely a little girl, if you will. There's more to her, more to her character than just being the little sister. The main themes in this film are so deep. It really is about grief and loss and healing. You see the father being this almost neglectful. He's so consumed with his grief, even 6 years later, because the daughter Saoirse is little, but she's I think we're told she's 6 or so. So even 6 years later, he is still so consumed with his grief that he doesn't have any kind of... It's almost not a loving relationship with his children. And the older brother, Ben, almost blames his little sister for his mother's death. There's a very antagonistic, at least in the beginning of the film, this antagonistic relationship. And so, as I've said many times, I love, tell me a good story. Okay. I don't care about I don't care about agendas and that sort of thing. Tell me a good story. This is a very good story. And show me growth in a character. Show me a maturation process. Show me a character arc, a redeeming character arc. And there truly is that. Just as in Secret of Kells, there seem to be these multiple redeeming character arcs. In this film as well, there are multiple redeeming character arcs for the older brother, for the father, for the grandmother. The mythology that's wrapped up in this one. Now, if you'll recall, in the first one, there was the mythology of the the old God in the woods and the idea of paganism versus Christianity in Secret of Kells. In this film here, the mythology is more around fairies and spirits and something called Selkies. Now, Selkies it's an old Scottish Celtic mythology about women whose sorrow turned them into seals, basically mermaids. So that's kind of the angle that's going on here. There's also a sort of a storyline about an old god woman who turned her son into stone. Her son had a broken heart, and so to save him from his feelings. Boy, what symbolism there is in that. How when we don't deal with our own grief and our own sorrows, it freezes us, right? It dumps us into a depression. And what is the resolution? How do we rise from that? How do we recover from that? Now, those of you who know me know that my wife is a certified psychologist, so I could recommend someone to you. But the reality of it is that as a Christian, as a pastor, my first and fallback position is joy in Christ. It is seeking the joy that my faith brings me. Now, is that a be-all and end-all? No, certainly not. It's not the final solution. It's not the only way. It's not, but it is absolutely certainly the most helpful way to begin that process of recovery, is to rely on God and to rely on the saving grace of Jesus Christ. Now, there's not a lot of that in this film, but there is this sense that the love between the brings them to a resolution, a happy ending, okay, a good resolution. It's a delightful film, actually. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's only about an hour and a half long. It is animated very similarly to Secret of Kells, in that it is hand line drawn and then painted, which is what I think. When we talked about Secret of Kells last week, I kind of compared it to South Park, which the more I look at it, the more I was wrong on that. Secret of Kells, the animation was definitely a characterization part. This as well, although it is not as geometrically telling the story the way Secret of Kells was. Song of the Sea is more fluid, like the sea. The drawing, the animation is more fluid, but it is very similar in style, beautifully animated. Like I said, hand drawn and then painted. The music is haunting at times. I want to look up the the music and just listen to it because it was so well done. So it's one I would definitely recommend. This one I think is even probably a little more accessible for your younger children than Secret of Kells was, which had some kind of intense moments, scary moments. This doesn't have that as much. There's a little bit of it, just in one particular encounter that Ben and Saoirse have, but on their journey. There's a journey in the film, and I'm trying not to give too much away because I really do want to encourage you to go and watch it. It is available on YouTube, so you can watch it there. But it's just I think a lovely story of grace and healing and just the love of family, and how family can be so instrumental in building us up. We often say it takes a village to raise a child. Well, I think it takes a family to raise a child. I think that a family grounded in Christ is what a child needs more than a village, if you will. One quick symbol I do want to bring up, that the initial setting of this is that Ben and Saoirse and their father live in a lighthouse, and so the lighthouse, which is always looking out, always protecting the land but providing guidance, and yet the father is almost the opposite of a lighthouse to his children. He is always searching, but he seems to always be searching for recovery from his grief and his loss. And eventually he finds that recovery comes in the form of his children, who he was ignoring in the beginning of the film. It's really good. It's a good movie. I highly recommend Song of the Sea. So if you have a chance, go find it on YouTube. Take an hour and a half and watch it. I think you'll enjoy it. That's all for this week, friends. Until next week, when Evan is back and we have this opportunity to talk about Schindler's List, which I watched it this week. I've seen it before, but I watched it again this week, and it's still just as powerful, just as moving as it was when it came out initially. So we'll be talking about that next week. Until then, friends, continue finding God. Boy, I talk for a living. Continue finding God in the dark, and we will see you all next week. Take care and God bless. Bye.